Czechast, a podcast in English about Czech and Moravian society, history, culture and economy.
Hello and welcome to Czechast, the podcast in English about all things Czech. I'm Vít Pohanka. Lately, a lot of the news reaching us from the United States and from the international scene more broadly can feel unsettling. Tensions are rising, the whole Western world order, as we have known it for decades, seems to be tottering on the verge of collapse. And speaking just for myself, I think in moments like this, it is comforting to turn to voices that bring calm, perspective, and a sense of proportion. That's exactly what happened when I listened to an interview by my colleague at Czech radio, Tereza Cedidlová, speaking with Emmanuel Villaume, chief conductor of the Prague Philharmonia. I remember thinking almost immediately this would make a great special episode of Czechast, because I have to admit that conversation genuinely warmed my heart.
I think music is really something that has no purpose, that is not useful, but without it, nothing would make sense. And through music, at least, you can communicate directly from people to people and from, let's say, cultures to cultures. So it's also as ambassadors of peace that we are going there.
Emmanuel Villaume spoke those words shortly before conducting the Prague Philharmonia at Carnegie Hall, one of the most iconic stages in the world and a place where history, expectations and audiences all matter. He is French by origin and has spent much of his career working in the United States, but for more than a decade now, he has been shaping the sound of a profoundly Czech orchestra. As he explains, that combination is not a contradiction, rather a dialogue.
In the end, the question of nationality is not necessarily that relevant. You are a musician, they are musicians. They know the Czech sound, they have a certain approach to the repertoire. I have a certain approach to the French repertoire, but I learned something from them when we play the French repertoire, and I hope I bring something to them when we play the Czech repertoire.
In this episode of Czechast, you'll hear an interview by Czech radio culture reporter Tereza Cedidlová with Emmanuel Villaume, chief conductor of the Prague Philharmonia. He spoke to her shortly before leaving for a tour of the United States, which included a concert at Carnegie Hall, and he began by explaining how the program of a Czech orchestra should be put together for American audiences.
Czechast, a podcast in English about all things Czech. Whether you're an English-speaking expat living in Czechia and Slovakia, or a descendant of the Czechs, Moravians and Slovaks who left for a better life in America, Australia, Britain or Canada so long ago that you don't speak the language of the old country, this podcast in English is for you.
Whenever an orchestra travels to the US from Europe, you want to present yourself at your best. And the presenters also, most of the time, want repertoire that's connected to what they perceive as the qualities of the conductor, the soloist, and the orchestra, of course. Then there is one element that is very important too. It's Carnegie Hall. Carnegie Hall, you have a lot of events. You want to make sure you have a full public and you have butts in the seats. So most of the time Czech orchestras play the New World Symphony. We were able to a little downgrade or upgrade to the 8th Symphony, not the 9th Symphony, which we have recorded together with the Prague Philharmonia, which is an amazing piece and an audience pleaser too. What drives audiences to concert hall are soloists and concerti. So we decided to put every chance on our side, and we have two soloists. We have Blake Pouliot, who is going to play Mozart Third Violin Concerto, and Andrew van Ooyen, Mendelssohn First Piano Concerto. Then at the core of the Prague Philharmonia repertoire, you have, beside Mozart, and somehow Mendelssohn, you have Beethoven. And we opened the concert with Coriolan Overture, which is a piece I have performed very often with the orchestra. Beethoven is one of those composers that the orchestra really performs very well. It's also a piece with great spiritual depth, which set the tone for this concert.
And weren't you thinking to choose only from the Czech music, from the Czech
Repertoire.
Yeah, repertoire?
No, I think we needed to have some Czech repertoire, but I thought it was very important also to play something else. So Beethoven, Mozart, Mendelssohn, which is at the very center of the repertoire of the orchestra.
You have like rich experience with American audiences, yeah, because you are currently also the music director of the Dallas Opera. So during this US tour, you will be performing in 6 cities and 4 US states, if I counted it correctly. So tell me, are the audiences the same in the whole America, or are there any differences?
So there are a lot of differences in every single concert hall you go, and with nationalities, but also with cities. And the audience in Brno is not going to be the same as it is in Prague. We were yesterday in Köln, in Germany, and the audience was incredibly disciplined, and at the end they went totally nuts and with a lot of screaming. You as a performer, tours are very interesting because you are in different acoustics, even if you play the same repertoire, and you have different reactions from the audience from city to city. In that case, as you pointed out, from state to state. American audiences are usually enthusiasts, or let's say they are very open. There is no preconception on how the piece should go or should not go. They are not going to be mad at you because you take this largo a little too fast to their liking. Now, you could say that maybe they are not as sophisticated. It's actually not true. You have, like everything in America, you have a bigger spectrum, and the differences between the people who don't know and the people who know are broader. But you have experts too of the highest level. And Carnegie Hall is one of those halls where you have world experts at the same level you would have, in Berlin, or you could say in the Rudolfinum too. So it's a very discerning audience. It's a very good audience. It's a very discerning audience. It's an audience that respond as much with their brain as they respond with their hearts and their souls. And that's where music can play at its best.
The Prague Philharmonia, and also you will come to the America after like 8 years pause. So if you can remember, how was it the last time? Has the orchestra changed during that time, during those 8 years?
It's a good question. I would think that we both have evolved for the better. Let me rephrase this. I would think that after 8 years, both the orchestra and myself have evolved for the better, and that we are even deeper musicians, that the understanding between me and the players, the connection is stronger than ever. The times have changed too. The relationship between Europe and the States is different. And I think music is really something that has no purpose, that is not useful, but without it, nothing would make sense. And through music, at least, you can communicate directly from people to people, and from, let's say, cultures to cultures. So it's also as ambassadors of peace that we are going there.
And do you think that the American audience has changed during those 8 years?
Like probably any audience, the audience has changed in the sense that COVID has changed the habits of people. sometimes it means that the value of being together in a hall, because it was forbidden for a while, that value all of a sudden has even more strength and is more relevant. What pleases me is to see that those halls are almost full already a few weeks before the concerts, so people are going back to the concert hall.
Mm-hmm. And Carnegie Hall is like fascinating space for every musician who plays there. You played there or conducted there for several times already. So how does it feel for you to be there? And how do you feel now when you know that like in a few days you are coming back?
Carnegie is one of those iconic concert stages, concert hall, where you feel the pressure of history and all those amazing genius musicians that were in the same place before you. It's also a concert hall that has really extraordinary acoustics that are very inspiring. So it's not like this historic pressure is pushing you down. On the contrary, between the acoustics and the feeling of greatness of the whole, you are pulled up and you give your best, and you want to give your best because you know the audience expects the best, but you yourself expect the best.
Now you are currently like rehearsing with the whole orchestra. I don't know, maybe you can tell how long does it take to prepare for this kind of tour, and if it differs from like the classic rehearsing during the season, if there are some special rules or if you have some kind of like team building or something special.
So to prepare for Carnegie, first we decided to build the tour with a few dates before the concert in New York. So all those concerts we will do before in various cities, various halls, they are going to help us feel more and more comfortable with the repertoire. And then the rehearsals here in Prague, they are like normal rehearsals. They're really like normal rehearsals. We have a sense of what's at stake, but that's true for any concert we do, be it in a, between quotes, small hall or in a very prestigious venues. We always try to give the best.
And do you feel maybe some kind of pressure that the musicians are like waiting those concerts?
Mm-hmm. So orchestras react differently to pressure. I must say the Prague Philharmonia plays at its best when the pressure is the highest. And this is an orchestra that definitely goes to another level, creates magic in concerts. And when we are really under a certain microscope and we know it's expected from us to give a world-class performance, we usually give a world-class performance.
So you are waiting that this will happen again in next phase.
I don't want to jinx it, so I will not predict anything, but it is mostly a very positive excitement and in a very joyful expectation.
You are originally French. You have spent a large part of your career in the United States, but also, like for at least Czech musician lovers, your engagement with the Slovak Philharmonic is also significant. So, what actually led you to the Czech orchestra?
Just chance and life. So my first connection with the Prague Philharmonia was for a recording for Deutsche Grammophon with Anna Netrebko. That recording won many prizes. And from the very first rehearsals, we had a very nice relation between me and the orchestra and the musician. And this was more than, 15, 20 years ago. And it has developed in what it is. So these are very natural things. In the end, the question of nationality is not necessarily that relevant. You are a musician, they are musicians. They know the Czech sound, they have a certain approach to the repertoire, I have a certain approach to the French repertoire, but I learned something from them when we play the French repertoire, and I hope I bring something to them when we play the Czech repertoire.
And is it true that today is your first time when you will play Má vlast from Bedřich Smetana?
Now everybody is going to know. Everybody is going to know that. Yes, it's the first time I'm doing the full cycle with the orchestra, and we're very excited. Actually, it's not the first time because yesterday we played half of the cycle in Köln. But it's indeed the first time I do the full cycle. Yes.
Yeah, probably this part won't be there because they will play it tomorrow. But I just wanted. I was curious. How do you feel about it? Because I mean that for many Czech orchestras, it's something that they played quite usual, or I feel it like that.
Right.
So, you are here 10 years, and it's the first time.
So at first, in my relationship with the Prague Philharmonia, I was very cautious playing the Czech repertoire for all the reasons you can imagine. Oh, he's French, what does he know? This is music we have played since the conservatory and childhood, and we have done it under those great Czech conductors. We have grown to a place now where we actually love to share together what we love and the repertoire we love. So exploring Má vlast with my colleague in the orchestra was very exciting. There was no major surprises, and sometimes they would come to me and say, well, actually, maybe, and some other times I was saying, listen, you think you know the piece, but you have not seen this and this and this. So it was a mutual conversation and around these absolute and exciting monument.
That's great to hear it. Also, I already mentioned it, but you have been in position of chief conductor here for 10 years. So it's quite a long time. So tell me, do you still have some kind of inspiration and muse for this job after 10 years?
So it's like any kind of relationship. You have somehow different stages, and the danger is that you get too used to each other. I always say that you should stay longer in such artistic relationships if there has been a true evolution of both parties. And I think that's the case. I'm a very different conductor than I was 10 years ago, and I hope the orchestra has also evolve and positively evolve in the last years. So we are still exploring things together. We know each other. That makes sometimes things way faster. But we also like to surprise each other, challenge each other. So as long as the relationship is growing, changing, evolving, and getting deeper, I don't see any reason to stop.
And just tell me, last question. I suppose you must travel a lot because you have also your American job. So tell me, how often do you fly from the USA to Europe? You also live in Paris or in France, kind of. So how difficult is this life to move the whole time between the States, the France, the Czech Republic?
It's I don't want to complain too much. I mean, some of it is quite exciting. And when I get tired of one place, I go somewhere else. When I get tired of one culture or one negative spirit somewhere, I can go somewhere else. The difficulty is mostly, the jet lag. How do you work with that? And with age, it gets more and more difficult. And then this is very, you need to work with your friends, for instance, because you're always the one living. So they expect you to be in touch. You have to, I decided, I have a few suits in the US, I have a few suits in France, I have a few clothes even here in Prague and a few in Dallas and a few in California and so on and so on. So it's very practical. Sometimes what is interesting is the differences in cultures and mentalities. And you go back home and you're just like, why are people reacting like this? They would see how it is somewhere else. They would not react like this. That is a part that is very rich. The traveling part, the having to keep the relationship, reworking constantly to convince people and so on, that's tiring, but that's also exciting.
So just how do you often travel from, like, are you every month in Czech Republic or?
So I am, in a whole, the places I am the most are Dallas and Prague. And that takes more than half of the year. And the rest of the time, I guess, conduct everywhere else. So that's just my rhythm.
Yeah. Okay, I just figured out one more question. Dear Frank. Because I suppose that this US tour isn't the only interesting thing that awaits the orchestra. Mm-hmm. So what other interesting places you will visit with Prague Philharmonia during this season, or if you already have or know the plans for the next season, if you can share with us something. Think about it.
Mm-hmm. So the Prague Philharmonia is a great ambassador for the Czech culture and even the Czech nation in general, and we're doing a lot of tours. So we go very often to Asia. So we are going this tour in the US. We were just in Köln yesterday. We are going to be in Switzerland this summer. We also have a lot of recordings that are internationally recognized. And all these experiences that, again, present the Czech culture at its most valuable, energized, and world-class quality. All these experiences abroad are very rich for, I believe, our experiences also in town. And so every concert we do here in Prague or in the Czech Republic is extremely important to us. And we're very happy to have full houses and share our love of music with this audience. So unlike most of the other orchestras in the Czech Republic, we really share our time between tours, recording, and being here at home. And I think those two things, they work together.
So, this was a special episode of Czechast, an interview conducted by Tereza Cedidlová, culture reporter of Czech Radio, with Emmanuel Villaume, chief conductor of the Prague Philharmonia. And to keep you up to date, I'm already working on the next regular edition of Czechast with another calm and thoughtful voice. My guest is Filip Nerad, my former colleague and now a member of the Globsec think tank team. We'll be talking about security, about the place of Czechia within the European Union, and also about something really serious: Belgian beer culture, which Filip knows well, as he wrote a whole book about it, and not only wrote it, he had it published, so he can compare it very well with the Czech beer culture. So do come back in a few days' time. A new episode of Czechast with Filip Nerad will be waiting for you. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, please click or touch the like or follow button and share it with your friends. It really helps to spread the word and helps me work on Czechast, the podcast in English about all things Czech. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy and curious, and as we say in Czech, naslyšenou.
Czechast, a podcast in English about all things Czech. Whether you're an English-speaking expat living in Czechia and Slovakia, or a descendant of the Czechs, Moravians and Slovaks who left for a better life in America, Australia, Britain or Canada so long ago that you don't speak the language of the old country, this podcast in English is for you.